This is the First to Admit It podcast. My name is Steph. I'm your host, and we are in episode 2. Today's title is To Be Human is to Be Human. Guys, I'm really excited to be here today, and I want to kind of just dive right in. First off, we are 7 days into the new year, and a lot of us probably have already given up on the things that we said we were going to do. We either didn't make it to the gym, we didn't, start eating healthy. We didn't start the podcast, didn't, sign up for the YouTube channel, didn't sign up for the course, didn't, do what you were supposed to do. I just want to encourage you in saying that, listen, it is not too late. You have 51 weeks to elevate. You have 51 weeks to tilt forward and to pursue relentlessly your goals. I am excited for the next 51 weeks. And to get to that point, I think we should look back to make sure that we can compare where we're going to where we've been. And for this podcast specifically, last week, dropping on January 1st and getting some feedback, I wanted to kind of speak to that and then segue into what we want to talk about today. So a lot of the criticism I received was surrounded around the statements I made regarding just the different roles that I play. And so, first in specificity, I am a father. I am a program manager for my work. I run the trucking company. I run this podcast. And oftentimes, I don't always feel like I'm playing all those roles correctly. Sometimes I feel like I'm effing up, if I can be blunt, and I'm not really kind of stepping up to the plate in all those different areas as a husband or as a dad or as a business partner, what have you. And it doesn't change the fact that I'm still engaged in those spaces. The criticism that I received kind of stated that, well, Steph, you shouldn't be, kind of doing too many things at once. You should focus on one thing and excel and make sure you master that thing. And to your point, listen, I totally agree. Yes and amen. You want to find a niche and become a master at that. But if anyone is like me, for me to be hyper-focused and successful in any endeavor that I'm in, I kind of have to be a little bit unhinged. If I'm being fair, I have to kind of be off balance. And it looks like there's a lot of craziness going on. It looks like chaos, but in those moments, I find pure focus, pure discipline, pure dedication to whatever the task is. And most entrepreneurs can relate to that. There's several things going on, pulling their attentions to different places, but all those areas that they have to be present in give them the ability to kind of press forward and go full tilt and execute, as it were. And I just kind of wanted to say that was okay. A lot of my friends and family members, they kind of seem that, I guess, from a place of concern, are saying, well, don't put too much on your plate. Don't do this, that, and the third. Don't go here, don't go there. And respectfully, I understand that. But again, for me, I need to be a little bit unbalanced. There is no such thing as balance in my world when I'm kind of in the space of I got to go, I got to perform, I got to execute. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of just air that out. Like, listen, I'm operating at a high octane, 93 octane. Like, what I can do is not what you can do. Not to be cocky about it, but I know my limits, and I know if I'm experiencing some sort of burnout, where to make adjustments. And so that was just one of the criticisms from last week's podcast that I wanted to kind of bring to full light. Because hopefully there's another person out there that says, yeah, Steph, when I'm in go mode, listen, sometimes it looks like it's chaotic, and sometimes it looks like I'm kind of just running around with a chicken with its head cut off, but I've never been more hyper-focused than when I'm in that area. So that brings me to today's topic. And the title that I kind of put around it was, to be human is to be human. Last week when I talked about, the different roles that I play, I said that they're kind of pulling me and tearing me in a bunch of different directions. And I kind of wanted to expose my humanity. And one of the things that I'm struggling with right now as a father and as a husband and as a Christian are rejecting the things of the world while still giving my family the best that I think they should have, or the best that I can give them. I'm in a space right now where sometimes I feel like I'm not able to provide for my family in the way that I want to, because I'm being held back by what my worldview has previously taught me. So as a Christian, Christ follower, believer, however you want to say it, a lot of it calls you to live humbly and live meekly and live in simplicity. At least that's the doctrine that's taught, and we're kind of taught to shun away and shy away from things that are flashy or extravagant or wealth or anything like that. But as a man, I feel like I can't live in those two spaces without having some sort of mental health breakdown. And I feel like a lot of Christians live in that space because they're saying, on the one hand, I need, to provide for my family. And so I got to go out and make it happen and grind and make money and be about my business financially. But on the same token, they're like, well, I shouldn't be a lover of money. And this is my thought process is that a lot of people who go to church are going through mental health issues because they're not unable to make ends meet, or they're unable to kind of wrestle with, okay, I have this really cool idea for business, but maybe I can't do it because it requires me to open up a bar, and bar has alcohol, and alcohol is not good. Again, all this stigma surrounded by the world, quote unquote. All this stigma surrounded by, doctrine and traditions in the Christian church hold people back a lot of times from pursuing ventures and ideas and thoughts processes that they have. And again, I wanted to kind of speak to that because, we live in a world where you have to be in the world. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 says, for those of you that use the things in the world, to use them as if they're not engrossed by them. And I kind of wanted to say that it's okay if you have ideas that don't necessarily fit in line with what you believe as a follower of Jesus, as a Christian, or as a person with morals, or as a human. You are allowed to be human and to have thoughts and to have ideas and to have ventures that don't necessarily align, or that aren't always in the four buildings of your church. If you open a bar up, you're not going to go to hell for opening up a bar. If you find yourselves in circles that are maybe a bit grungy or a bit weird looking, that don't necessarily fit the perfect American Christian mold, that does not make you a sinner who is damned to hell. It just makes you human. It makes you human because you're going through life experiences on this planet, and God isn't shocked by that. I think the beautiful thing about that statement is that people who we look up to, I'll give you an example. I look up to someone like Mike Todd at Transformation Church, or Stephen Furtick at Elevation Church, or Maxito Saintville at Salem Life Church in Spring Valley. So I look up to those people, but they live regular lives. They're just regular humans. You know, Mike Todd is a regular man who just wants to take care of his family and preach the gospel. Same with Stephen Furtick, same with Maxito. And while their highlights are what we look for as examples to live our lives, the reality is the example that they give are the things that they do that's not highlighted, that's not on Sunday mornings, that's not on Wednesday night Bible study. You know, it's the things that they do on a day-to-day basis that you should be following to say, like, okay, yeah, it's okay to do that. Or, you know, I have an idea to write a book, but maybe the book has a little bit, you know, more adult themes. That's okay. They're just human. I'm just human. I want, for me, to be able to get the bag and do it for my family, and not because I'm in love with money. And I want to be able to say that and say it without feeling guilty or feeling like I'm not being a good Christian or being a good man of God, because I want those things. I want my family to live and be affluent and have resources to be able to help people. And I want to be able to say that and not feel guilty and not feel like my mind's not in the right place or my heart's not in the right place. And I hope that this kind of opens up the room for conversations in your own life, so you can speak to some of those things that you're kind of struggling with as a human living in a Christian worldview. Because I know you're self-conscious, because I am. And I know I have these thoughts that are kind of counterintuitive, or that kind of go against sometimes what I've been taught. But to be human is to be human. You're not a robot. And it's okay if you're self-conscious, because so am I. And it's okay to voice those things. And I'm praying that you're able to do that today. In any case, now is about the time where you should like, comment, and share this podcast. It is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Listen, we are going all the way up in 2023. Nothing but M's for us, nothing but W's for us. And I always end with this. If you're feeling alone, if you're feeling like you're isolated or like people don't understand you, we're all self-conscious. I'm just the first to admit it.